As part of efforts to promote the advancement of women in the legal profession, emphasizing both individual and leadership capacity within and across the legal profession, Women in the Profession Nigerian chapter was officially launched at a ceremonial event which had in attendance female lawyers. While the event took both the physical and virtual formats, Tomilayo Fadoju, International Properties Attorney Olaniwu Ajayi LP, also gave a presentation on a study report that was carried out on gender equity in the corporate sector.
Every year in Nigeria, and more so in recent years, a lot of corporate organizations and law firms celebrate International Women's Day. But we at WIP Nigeria think that we shouldn't just talk about gender inclusiveness on International Women's Day. As opposed to being a seasonal conversation, we want it to be an ongoing conversation that goes on in our respective organizations throughout the year so that we can achieve real change. Why is it important? Well, as I will be showing you in a few moments, we discovered that there is quite a disparity in the experience of male and female lawyers, both in law firms and in other organizations that employ legal personnel. It's interesting to note that only 4.2% of senior advocates of Nigeria are women. That's a very shocking statistic. And women notwithstanding represent the majority of entrants and graduates at the Nigerian law school. They represent the majority of those that start out as NYSC counsel. For those who don't know what NYSC is, it's a youth service program mandated by the Nigerian government. So first year intakes in most top law firms, majority are women. Yet as we climb up the corporate ladder in law firms and other organizations, we find that women seem to be tapering off. So the aims of our study were really, as I said, to ascertain what the challenges are. What are the barriers? Why is the top level, the management level, so thin on female representation? Why is advancement for women in legal positions seemingly harder than it is for men? Our study seeks to start the conversation, continue the conversation, and WIP is devoted to the cause of enabling and empowering female lawyers. So we thought it was a good place to start in championing that cause. Our survey was published in April 2022, and it was in circulation for 4 months. We were able to get responses from 128 women, all except one were lawyers, not just working in law firms, but as in-house counsel. And we had a very wide spread of lawyers in terms of post-qualification experience, number of years at the bar. Our survey questions sought to ascertain what the gender parity issues are, what the existence or otherwise of policies that engender gender inclusiveness are in their respective organizations, and what are the potential solutions to some of the issues that were identified. In terms of the methodology, our questions, which we'll see in a moment, were formulated based on research. So we asked ourselves what's been done in other jurisdictions. We didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We consulted papers published by the International Bar Association, by the renowned legal intelligence service provider, Leopard Solutions, and crafted questions that would really help us get to the heart of the issues encountered by female lawyers. The survey was disseminated across women-centric groups, such as the Women's Group of the Nigerian Bar Association, as well as the respective networks of WIP Steering Committee and Advisory Board members. We were deliberate in setting a broad criteria for respondents because we really wanted to understand what the pain points are for women in the legal profession in all the corners of the legal profession. Not just law firms, not just at the mid-level, not just at the senior level. And we were quite successful in achieving that objective because almost half of our respondents fell within the 5 to 11 year post call to bar bracket, and about 20% in the 15 years plus bracket. And you can see in this pie chart what the core years of our respondents were. So our first set of questions were centered around women in management. We asked our respondents to comment on whether they felt there was adequate representation of women in the management bracket or the management band of their respective organizations. And a whopping 62.5% said that there wasn't, and they felt that women were not being promoted as much as their male counterparts. We then went on to ask whether their employers have gender diversity and inclusion policies or initiatives intended to foster gender parity in their organizations. And a whopping 3/4 of our respondents said that their organizations did not have such policies, or at least such policies were not being implemented. Only 1/4 were able to answer that in the affirmative. Our next set of questions was really to ascertain what the challenges are for women. Why is there such a slower rate of ascension up the corporate ladder for female lawyers? And you'll see here that the top 3 reasons were lack of work-life balance, unequal pay, and gender bias. It's interesting to note that only 1% of our respondents cited sexual harassment at the workplace as a reason why women encounter challenges in the legal profession. We are not sure that this statistic is truly representative because, as we know in Nigeria, most sexual harassment cases are not actually reported. But it's still instructive to know that work-life balance is the #1 reason why women are said to ascend slower in the legal profession. Next, we wanted to ascertain what the reason for female attrition is, similar to the previous question, but a little bit more direct. So why exactly are women leaving law? And interestingly, again, work-life balance came up. 92% or 21% rather of our respondents said that the lack of work-life balance was the #1 reason, followed by, interestingly, marriage. So our respondents felt that a woman's duties when she gets married is one of the reasons why she might decide to leave law. Employer insensitivity and gender bias were also some of the higher ranking reasons for female attrition in the legal profession. So we asked our respondents to comment on some of the recommendations they would make for addressing some of these issues. 56% of them maintained that there should be a conscious revamping of policies and even laws to accommodate the realities of female lawyers. And this tallies with the statistics that we looked at earlier, because as we noted, 75% felt that there were no active policies on gender parity in their respective organizations. So one of the top recommendations was implement policies that will engender inclusiveness. Another top recommendation that our respondents made was the creation of awareness. As you know, I mentioned earlier, awareness is one thing that is really going to help champion the cause. Women want to see organizations owning the business case for gender parity, not just making it a seasonal topic, making it a real business priority that is pushed with intensity. So having looked at the responses and analyzed the data, we came up with a list of recommendations that the WIP is making and will continue to recommend as it as it continues its work in the Nigerian legal sector. Number one is increased sensitization and enlightenment on gender balance issues. I've already discussed that, so I won't repeat myself there. Providing enabling systems and policies to drive gender diversity and inclusivity. In this respect, the WIP is working on a document that the Nigerian Bar Association, law firms, and other top legal personnel employers can adopt as a sort of template that's adaptable to suit their respective organizations on gender inclusiveness. And we would be able to leverage papers generated by other WIP chapters in the African continent and beyond.
The event also witnessed a panel discussion that addressed the challenges women face as well as recommendations and policies to address these challenges. Some of the panel discussants were Kofo Doseku, Chairman Aluko and Oyebode, Michelle Williams, CEO Resistance Vision Coaching and Consulting, Darin Adefulu, Executive Head and Governance, Old Mutual Nigeria, and Dolapo Kukoyi, Managing Partner, Detail Commercial Solicitors, and President of the WIP as the moderator. Following the event, Darin Adefulu and Dolapo Kukoyi provided further insights on what to expect from WIP Nigeria, as well as plans for engaging the younger generation of female lawyers.
What are we set out to achieve? One is to advance the female lawyer and the female lawyer in Nigeria. And advancing the female lawyer in Nigeria is in many respects, not only as to, you've heard Mrs. Dosekun today, is not only as to technical knowledge, because I think we've done too much of that. It's also to advance and improving us as women, as women and as people, advancing us and making us, more knowledgeable in other things, and particularly to do with things that pertain to us. I always say that women, we need to acknowledge our blessings. We need to acknowledge that in some ways we are different from the men, but even in those ways we can harness them. The other reason why this is important is that increasingly, even the world acknowledges that having female leaders, even makes an impact on the bottom line. So it shouldn't be different with the legal profession. We don't want to keep having fewer women at the top. We want to have more women at the top and more women at the top who are role models, who people can role model after and can be real with. So it's also to create a safe space for women. We don't want to be the typical organization, and we are not in any way in competition with the mainstream organization. We want to collaborate. So we want to bring our own strengths. We want to be a resource center to help women. So if whether it's data we're sharing, whether it is policies that we're sharing that can help everyone, whether it is mentoring programs, we want to actually be that group that provides women with practical help.
If women are not intentional about articulating their issues or their views or the things that they need to have to effect change, then nothing will happen. No one is going to help push your cause more than you can. So I think that the WIP is an excellent platform that would help to push and advocate for women and to push diversity and just to advocate for women's rights.
Over 250 students or something register for this. So we intend to engage them. It's not all very clear yet how we will do that, but we know that we need to start building the next pipeline of leaders. So we do intend to engage them. We ask them to fill the forms, and we will be engaging them as time goes on. We'll probably create some kind. You see that we've also engaged the younger generation. We had 2 interns who are university students. So we intend to do a lot of that. We also want to encourage firms to apart from the normal internships they do, they should do internships that make it a focus that women, are on it. So there are many other things that we will do as we go on. Yes.
Yeah, so one more thing to clarify, we're not in competition with the men. I understand that we're not in competition with them, but rather we try to complement each other.
Yes.
How does WIP intend to achieve this?
So one of the things that we set out to do when we wanted to do this launch was that we sent emails to every single managing partner, and we knew that a lot of them were men, but we were enlisting their support because we can't achieve what we aim to do without the men. The fact is that men are still in the majority. I mean, we have the chairman of SBL, he's a man and was very supportive. So we've realized that, we need to work in partnership with them, because sometimes it actually takes the woman to actually know what we need. Sometimes the men don't know. and they don't feel the touch points as we do. So we want to be that bridge to actually empower the women and also help the firms, both male-dominated firms or female-dominated firms, to be able to build more women there. So we definitely want to do this in collaboration.
The launch of the Women in the Profession marks another significant step in deepening gender inclusion through the legal profession. This is critical for Nigeria's sociology development.